Thank you so much, Joanne. I think all of us were able to feel that because I think a lot of us have experienced that. In fact, statistically speaking, probably everyone in this room knows what that feels like. And that is why having that kind of data, and not just data, but solutions, are exactly why this work is so critical. So for our next big idea, our celebrated next leader is known for his groundbreaking research on key success factors affecting senior Black leaders in Fortune 500 companies. As Korn Ferry's Chief Diversity Officer and a member of the Global Operating Community, J.T. Saunders' work with executive teams places him on the front lines of the most pressing workplace challenges. And his research team is recognized for their innovative inquiry on workplace-related research. As an advisor to the Korn Ferry Charitable Foundation, he guides external partnerships and philanthropic investments, including Korn Ferry's coveted Leadership U for Humanity program for high potential and underrepresented talent. Please welcome to the stage Korn Ferry's Chief Diversity Officer, J.T. Saunders.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Absolute pleasure.
So, J.T., should we tell them about our big news?
I think we should.
I'll let you unveil it.
Okay, great. Well, first off, it's great to be here with you today, and it's absolutely a privilege and honor to be a part of the All Equals Leadership Forum. As you were saying, we are just launching how many cohorts have we done thus far?
Oh, it's several now.
Several cohorts.
Yeah, this is multiple years we're building on.
Absolutely. Excited to launch our Leadership U for Humanity cohort without an equal. Now, this is a special program. When we decided to create this initiative, we thought about what are the things that we can do to make a difference, a real difference. Not just talk about it, but we wanted to do something about it. So we created a program that's all about leadership, where people will get executive coaching and leadership development and networking opportunities, which has been really phenomenal, and we're really excited.
Oh, we are so excited too. And so before I leave the stage and let your brilliance take over, I am really excited about this. I hear people talking about it. I know a number of the partners, probably some of you in this room, have been calling and asking when this launches. So please make sure that you are scanning this QR code. This is how you get to the application form. We're going to be sending more information out. But please share this with your teams, especially with those early career standouts. Now, here's the big thing. There are only 35 seats for the program this year. So it is extremely limited and extremely exclusive and extremely exciting. So please make sure that you are sharing that, and we're going to be sending more information. And now, JT, I leave it to you.
Well, thank you. I just want to say one more thing. So to date, we have served 1,500 underrepresented leaders. So we're really excited about you all being a part of this journey with us. Yes, absolutely. Well, I don't think this is fair. I can't follow Joanne. That's not fair. I thought I was doing something here. But I'm really excited to be with you all here today. I know there's been an ongoing conversation and dialogue around this issue of diversity, equity, inclusion. And I've been thinking lately, is DEI the new boogeyman? No, seriously. You know, I don't know if you all, when you all were raised, but I was tortured by my older sister who constantly told me that the boogeyman lived underneath my bed. And at night, sometimes she would climb in my room, go underneath my bed, wait for me to start to fall asleep, and then grab my ankle, right? Shake me up a little bit. Now, all jokes aside, I think there is a story here to be told. But I think a lot of the narrative that we're seeing around this issue today is very much focused on the concern, worry, fear, right, of difference that we're starting to see again. But I think it's time for us to reclaim our time, take control of this conversation again, and really think about the ways in which those three words, the work that each and every one of you do every day, is making a difference every day. And it's not just because of our difference, it's because of what we do by virtue of our difference of experiences, our backgrounds, the roles that we play in organizations, the skills that we bring. And so for us, it's all about innovation. That's the future. And we know that every company today must transform to grow. If the last 4 years taught us anything, right, how we work doesn't necessarily require you to sit in an office, not necessarily, right? We figured out how to do this well and do it from home, potentially. It's challenged all of our understandings of what it means to work, what it means to experience, and what it means to contribute. And so as we think about diversity, equity, inclusion, it's time for us to start thinking about the role it plays in transformation vis-a-vis innovation. So I want to spend a couple minutes talking to you all about that. Now, I imagine most of you in this room, as well as your CEOs, have a couple things that are top of mind for them. They are certainly thinking about the changing landscape. They're thinking about supply chain. And I'm doing a kitchen renovation right now, and let me just tell you something about this supply chain. If anyone here can help me with that, come see me, please, because it's taken some months here, right? How do we deliver things efficiently with minor disruptions? How do we think about creating a work environment that works for today and the future, right? How does that happen? How do we think about finding top talent in this environment? It's a tight labor market, and let me tell you, skills are everything in this marketplace today. They're also thinking about regulation, changes in regulations by the day, and more importantly, it's about AI and the impact that AI will have on the future of our world. Not just our country, not just our various communities, but the world. $15.7 trillion are expected to be added to the economy, and what are we going to do when that starts to come to in terms of our own experiences within and outside of the workplace? And lastly, and I think Joanne did a great job talking about covering the cost of mental health issues on organizations every single day. Now, you're probably wondering where this is going. Well, in order for organizations to tackle these really tough challenges that are complex, that have multiple stakeholders, there's some things that we need to do differently, absolutely. And so we think it's all about unleashing the power of teams. That's how we're going to get sustainable growth, by making sure that everyone on teams plays a valuable role. Now, this is going to be different than what we've seen in the past. There is some research that's been done, we call it the reference man, that a lot of things in our society have been based on. Now, the reference man showed up in 1975. And basically, the reference man was created as a model, a research model, to help us to understand the impacts of radiation exposure. Now, maybe that's not so much of a concern today, but this model was then used for so many different things. Nutrition, pharmacology, toxicology. It was intended to be the source and or representation for all humanity. So when we thought of trying something new, well, how does this apply? How does the reference man help us to understand the outcomes? The issue with the reference man is that it was not so inclusive. The reference man was very specific, actually. The reference man was about 25 to 30, cisgendered, able-bodied, about 150 to 160 pounds, about 5'6", very seriously, very specific. And over time, it became clear that the reference man was having a pretty significant impact on how we experience the world. If we think about technology, Alexa, your apps, your watches, right? Navigation, everything was in many ways influenced by this idea of the reference man. So as we think about innovation and we're thinking about leveraging the power of diversity in those backgrounds of experiences, the question then becomes, well, what does this mean for where we're headed as a society, given some of the monumental changes? Well, the first thing is that we want to begin to discuss is, how do we start shifting that idea from the reference man to much more of an inclusive design, where we're not just necessarily defaulting to a default user as an experience? Because as we know, we all have different lived experiences. And when we follow this model, do we leave people out? Are we not necessarily including different perspectives? And by virtue of doing that, does that have an impact on sustainability and, more importantly, growth? Can we grow towards the future, a more global, more inclusive world, if we're not thoughtful about those who are outside of the traditional user, or the default user, excuse me? And so we have to ask ourselves, if the default person, the default man is the in, who is the out? And as we start to think about that journey, oops, there you go. Sorry, I kind of got ahead of myself there. There tends to be a few outliers that we tend to see that are impacted by our own individual experiences, right? And so the work that we're doing as a firm in partnership with our clients is really to begin to explore, what does the future of innovation look like, where we can be more thoughtful about inclusive design, where best practices, policies, procedures are inclusive of differences of experiences. And we're not just looking for the default user, but the end user in mind. And so I want to give you a quick example of how this has played out historically. So, the wheelchair was a pretty significant invention that has over time continued to evolve to serve people who have different needs, right? So the wheelchair ramp, I should say. And so as we thought about the reference man design, it was we need stairs because it's easier for people to move from one place to another or walk up through stairs. We didn't really think about those who were not able to use their own legs to walk necessarily. By the 1940s and 50s, we started to see that more people were in wheelchairs post-World War II. A lot of injured soldiers were coming home. We needed to serve the soldiers. We needed to care for them as we should have. So then we started to create new ideas. You start to see more wheelchair ramps. It's helping more people who are unable to walk, leverage different facilities better. And then by the 1990s, we start to see something different. Thanks to the American People with Disabilities Act, we start to see more. Today, what we want to start to think about as we plan for our future is, how do we plan for a future that's truly inclusive? The ramp isn't just good for individuals who use wheelchairs. It's good for people who are cyclists. It's good for parents who use strollers, and anyone who has young children or had children. Trying to get around with a stroller is not necessarily the easiest thing, especially in big cities, just saying, right? So there's multiple purposes that can be used. And so as we move forward with this idea of inclusive design, preparing for the future of our world, what is it going to take for us to think differently about how we engage people and their experiences to help us find better solutions? A very real example that some of you may know about, as we think about the impact of generative AI on communities, one of the biggest issues that's coming up, AI tools misgendering people. Now, what is it going to take for us to fix that? We're going to need people from different backgrounds and experiences to say, hey, wait a minute, let's think about this a bit differently, right? So, in short, transformation is inevitable, right? And the role that we all play in helping to design that future is critical. Now, I start with the question of, is the boogeyman real? No, the boogeyman is not real. Fair enough. But DEI is, and so is transformation. And if we want to continue to grow a more inclusive, sustainable world that allows us to engage more consumers globally, more workers globally, that is empowered with a more inclusive framework or lens, this is the time for us to start thinking about the role and impact of inclusive design. Thank you so much for your time. Really excited to be here. Let's do this together.